Good evening. Excuse me. Good morning. I said good evening. Wow, what a night. But anyway, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Scorp. Good morning. Can you hear me, Scorp? But welcome in. Welcome in. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. Uh. Oh, this really drive me crazy. Hold on, y'all. Bear with me. All right. There we go. Should be back on after that. So good morning once again, everybody. Good morning. Uh. For those that are for those that are fasting, this is the Lent season. This is the 10th day. I believe Ramadan is 2 weeks in, but today I want to talk about fighting your demons, right? Uh, the transitioning from you know the mind to the spirit is something that a lot of us may not be able to understand, right? But the willingness to attempt to do so is a wonderful thing, because if you have an understanding that you are trying to become a better version of you, you understand that there has to be a battle that has to occur. And that resistance that also happens is 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 taking place. So for those uh in the first few days of the fast, you probably felt, you know, the desire or the urges of surrendering as you began or your first few days in, right? Because it's hard to do something that you would normally do and then turn around and then give it up, right? Whatever the thing is, whether it's beverages, whether it's a food, whether it's a act of something, right? Like giving up internet, giving up these type of things the for drawing close to God, right? But a lot of us have to understand that the demon is not going to just allow you to do just that, right? So what I'm gonna do is, right, y'all bear with me. I'm gonna read Mark chapter 1 verses 5 through 20, right? Just to give you an example of what's going on here. The whole Judean countryside and all the people of Jerusalem went out to him, confessing their sins, and they were baptized by him in the Jordan River. John wore clothes. Wait, I think this is the wrong chapter. Yeah, this is the wrong chapter. So I got the wrong chapter. I think it's supposed to be 5, 1 to 20. Yeah, this is the one. 5, 1 through 20. They went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes. And when Jesus got out the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. And when Jesus saw him from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. And he shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, do not torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." And then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs. Allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the well, that's pretty much yeah. Let's keep going. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed in his right mind and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon possessed man and told about the pigs as well. Then people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus went was getting back into the boat, the man who had been demon possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away, began to tell began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus has done for him, and the people were amazed. So just off of that story alone, it shows you how much a demon can keep you from doing things in your right frame of mind, right? It takes away from some people's morality. It takes from some people's character. It takes away just the acts of doing the right things in 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 everyday life. So when that occurs, you have to, you're not strong enough to resist the devil and he will flee, right? So as you draw near to God and these things occur, you must you must understand that a battle must take place. You must understand that it's the battle of good and evil. Some people will call it yin and yang. Some people call it balance. But if that is the case, a, 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 a war must occur inside of you. A battle must occur inside of you in order for you to separate yourself from the good and evil, right? And when that happens, you have to know your opponent. A lot of the times, people don't even understand. They may be trying to fight a demon, but they fighting a legion, and legion is more than one demon. I know that in the Bible it says that they talk about the angels, the legions, and the 66 legions and the 72,000 angels or the 72,000 demons that occur. I'm not talking about that large amount of number. I'm talking about the the more than one demon that is possessed inside of you. Well, thank first of all, thank goodness that you don't have that large amount of demons in you because you would be all over the place, right? But the point is, when you're trying to do right, evil is always going to lurk around you. So you have to know how to fight that battle. You have to know how to uh, pace yourself as you begin your fasting stages, right? We understand that the race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but to those that endure. They endure to the end, right? And right now, this is like the first leg of your fasting, the first period or first quarter of you giving up or giving up what you desire or what you feel that you need in your life, right? But of course, you have to understand. Like I said, you have to understand who it is you're fighting, whether it's you know the demon in you or the people outside of you, the people that's going to you feel that's going to attack you because you're becoming a new person, a new creature, a new creation, right? A rebirth is trying to occur. That's what you are pursuing. But there are things and entities that are trying to stop you from doing that, right? And when you have those deadly sins, those seven spirits that may dwell in you, right? You know, the seven deadly sins, they become spirits that dwell within you, right? The lust, the greed, the gluttonous, the all seven of them, right? They may not all be in you, but you understand that there may be more than one, right? That's what makes it a legion, right? And as you continuously fight that area of your life that you are trying to get rid of said demons, you have to understand that you can't do it by yourself. You have to understand that you have to you have to give to you have to give to get, right? You have to you have to sacrifice something in order to enjoy what you are about to get, which is the investment that you are investing in yourself, right? So once you understand that you cannot continuously feed the illness, you have to cut it off one step at a time, right? Whether it's if I'm enjoying if I'm enjoying sugar cookies or snacks and things like that, I must take steps to withdraw that. Maybe I start eating an apple. Maybe I start eating fruits that is much more healthier for me than what I normally intake, right? But in order to understand that you need that, you must admit that there is something inside of you that is making you ill. There is something inside of you that is holding you back from being the best version of yourself. Some might say mental health or physical health or spiritual health, however you look at it. But one thing for certain and two things for sure, you know that you are not right because if you was right, you wouldn't need to fast in the first place. You wouldn't need to give those things up because of that, right? So when you have these situations at hand, you must understand that something is holding you back, right? Whether it's a demon or several, which we are going to call legion, right? You have to understand your opponent, right? You have to understand who you're going up against. So you must understand, like for example, if I was lustful, right? I have to understand what my lustfulness is and figure out a way to attack it. And that's why, over these 40 days, there are people willing to take the time to say, you know what, I know whatever I'm fasting or I'm giving up is not right for me. So how can I be a better version of myself if I keep intaking things that is not of right stature or is going to improve me, but is going to change me for the worse. So we have to sit there and know who it is and who or whom it is that we are fighting against or what we are battling, right? For me, I have to understand I am looking for growth. I'm looking for improvement and of understanding what's going on around me, right? And I must take those steps. And because I am on this app, I now have to I now embrace more people than just a household or just a town or even a state, right? This thing goes international. I have met people as far as Australia. I have spoken and conversed with people from that far of a distance. And, sometimes you have to understand that you become the example, right? You become the example of what God is trying to do for you in your life. So when you understand that that happens, when you understand that you become an influencer, or in this case, well, you're fasting, now becoming a beacon of light, because there is a change about you that's going to happen, that's going to show people that, hey, this can be you. Your test will become your testimony, and once it becomes your testimony, it's for everybody to embrace or discredit, however they want to do it. But whatever example that you have, or whatever testimony that you have, that God is within you, or God is working with inside of you, you have to be able to embrace that situation. You have to be able to understand that not everybody's going to understand you. That not everybody's going to agree. Ms. T, good morning. Not everybody's going to be agreeing with the steps that you are taking in your life, right? But you have to also understand, as you taking them steps, the the demon that dwells around you or inside of you is not going to give up that easily. That's why, I encourage people to fast and to draw nigh to God at this particular time, right? Because you just don't know who or what is going on around you, and especially inside of you, right? Like I just said, some people may be thinking they're fighting a demon, and they don't know that they might be fighting more than one, which in this case I'm going to call legion, because you may have that spirit of envy that's trying not to get up out of you. You may have that spirit of gluttony, right? That's trying to stay inside of you. Riaz, good evening. It's evening time, and where you at, right? So you have to understand that the fast is important, because it's helping you to get rid of something, to add that energy, that spirit of God that He is trying to have, that is with that you are desiring. And once you understand that that battle is taking place, you have to understand that you have to prepare yourself, because there's shots going to be taken at you. There's a movement that's going on in your mind, your body, or your soul, that is going to that's going to make you a weak state, or a weak person for a particular thing. And more than likely it's going to be the thing that you are giving up during that fast. Okay, got you, Riaz. It's 3:24. Cool. Good afternoon. Right? So when that happens, you have to be ready for it. You have to fight the urges, right? You have to fight the temptation. You have to resist the thing that you are actually trying to give up. Shout out to my 33 brother, the word, as we was having a conversation last night about Abraham and the situation of him giving up Isaac, or get ready to sacrifice Isaac, right? But for me, like I was telling him, I said, you have to understand, Abraham was already being obedient to his sacrifice, right? How do I know this, right? Because even before we get to Isaac, right? We understand he had a child before that, right? And his child name was Ishmael. And even though he wasn't he wasn't with the child was not by his wife. His wife asked him to go into to Hagar, his maidservant, right? And because she couldn't fulfill having a baby with her husband, she gave her maidservant up unto him, right? And Abraham, as much as he didn't want to do it according to the Bible, he obliged his wife, and you know went into Hagar and birthed Ishmael. And for 13 years, Ishmael was his only son, and he loved Ishmael, right? But whatever happened, right, as far as Hagar changing her mind, she said that excuse me, Sarah changed her mind, right, and said, you know what? She's living too prosperous. She's living too well. Like she's rubbing this, she's throwing this in my face that I cannot have this woman around me because she is being rewarded with giving you a child. Even though Sarah told her husband to do that, she felt the way, right? So his first sacrifice to me, right? So she says, you gotta let them go, right? Even though before that, God is telling Abram, you're gonna have a child, and that child is gonna be a a, a, a father of many nations, right? He he actually has Ishmael first. So even when God is with you, you have to understand we still gonna fall, or we still gonna do things that are not in character of what or who we are supposed to be, right? So anyway, he has the child, and Sarah says, "Get rid of the child." And Abram was going through it, right? He's like, "Wait a minute, I've raised this kid for the first 13 years of his life. I've done this. I've been with him. I taught him. I nurtured him as much as a man can nurture a child. He's done all of these things, but God told him, relax. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Relax. You can send him off because I'm still going to make him a father of many nations. Realist, good morning. What's going on with you, right? So even though Abram didn't want to do that, he was being obedient and gave up something that he loved, someone that he loved, just because he was obedient to the higher power whom he was serving. So when that happens, of course, later on, we know that the angel comes and visits and tells him, "Hey, your wife is going to have a child," and she laughed. Right? What are you laughing at? I'm telling you, you're going to have a child. See, sometimes when we live in reality, right? We live in the world. We don't understand the power that can happen in your spiritual life, right? You don't understand that God can bless you and then turn a natural thing into a supernatural, right? Because she was barren for so long, she thought it was impossible for God to do what He said He's going to do, right? That's because she had that demon in her, not the demon like you understand what I'm saying? But she had the doubt, right? Some people might call that a demonic situation or a demonic state because you're doubting what the creator is telling you or what God is telling you that he can do. So she laughed. And then out of the clear blue, she was pregnant. And now she looked at crazy like, I can't believe I laughed at him, so on and so forth. And Abraham is like, well, look at this here. He is joyous because he had to sacrifice one son in order to get this son because of his obedience, right? So what I'm telling you is you have to resist that devil that's telling you that you can't do whatever you say you whatever you think you can't do, right? Stop saying can't and say I am. I will. I shall. You have to do that in order to complete the task of drawing nigh to God. Because as long as you sit there and tell yourself, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to be able to do it, you are speaking death instead of life into your situations, right? And I also believe that's why a lot of people may not even be fasting at this particular time because they fell short of their New Year's resolution, right? Because you didn't understand that as long as you have that negative thought, some people will call that demonic negative thought, that the positive result will never occur into your life, right? Because you have so many different negative thoughts or a legion of negativity that's going on in your life. You're not believing that you're going to get what you pray for. You're going to get the result of whatever you're fasting for. So it helps. It cripples your thought. It stagnates your fasting period. And we already know that stagnation kills dreams and momentum to wherever it is that you're trying to go. And in this case, it may stagnate you from drawing nigh to God. But you have to understand. You have to keep fighting that demon. You have to understand what that demon is trying to do to you and for you, right? It's trying to make sure that you don't sweep him out of the way to be for him to be replaced by that spirit that is of God, that is of good and not of evil. It's trying to make sure he has a place in your life to where nothing can separate you from it. But we understand that we get sick and tired of being sick and tired. We have to remove said demon from out of our lives, right? Whether it's this app right here, or whether it's going, going to the social scenes, right? That's making us do the negative things. Overcompensate the drinking, right? Or becoming just drinking to become drunk, or medicating ourselves to relieve the mental anguish that is going on in our lives, right? We do that because that's the demon that's inside of us that's telling us like, hey, we can do that and it's okay. But in reality, we already know that's a short term fix. But when we continuously focus on what God has in store for us and we remove that demon, we understand that we are striving to do that on an everyday basis, just like we would do if we was over medicating every day, right? Smoking weed, so on and so forth, right? We have to do that for the good side in order for us to cast out said demon, to cast out that legion of doubt that is within our minds, that is within our heart, that's within our soul. We have to do that in order to become the best version of ourselves, right? Or do the assignment that God has given you to do, whether it's to come on this app and to be encouraging, or if it's just, you know, to be that best version of yourself. Whatever it is, like everybody's not built to be a encourager, but everybody's not also built enough to become that influencer of the kind and gentle person that God wants you to be, right? So whatever it is, right? You could be a minister of music, right? You can be a practitioner of walking in your faith, right? We have so many people that doubt that God exists, that the devil is just so comfortable, or the demon is so comfortable within you because they understand that, or they think that you are already a defeated foe. And that may be true. But as you draw nigh to God, he understands that there's going to be a shift or movement in your life, right? You have to decide if your demon is your Goliath, or is that demon your mountain. But you have to also understand that your faith, the size of a mustard seed, can remove all those things. It gets nervous. That demon is no longer comfortable in you. That legion of demons are no longer comfortable inside of you because you are brewing, or you are budding a newness that is occurring into your life. So when that happens, the devil's gonna shake. He's gonna do, the demons are gonna move around like, what the Sam Hill is going on? I must fight, I must fight, I must fight, right? That's why when they say resist the devil and he shall flee, it's a real thing, because once you resist him, he's no longer comfortable. He no longer has his feet up in your house, or in his house, which is your mind or your body or your soul, or however you, wherever he is in your trinity, right? You have to understand you must clean your house often. You must go through this period in order for you to remove said demon so he is not comfortable. Will he try to come back? We understand that. The Bible tells us that he's going to try to come back. And he's going to try to come back 70 times 7, 70 times 7, with more power, more strength, more force. And that super legion is trying to enter you. But you must understand that if you continue to walk in this walk, you can overcome and you can defeat that legion. You can be the 300, like the movie, that's overcoming the amount of numbers that the enemy is trying to inflict into your life. He's trying to draw or throw into your life. You have to understand how important it is that you continue to draw nigh to God. So even if you haven't started this period of fasting, or as Riaz is going through his Ramadan stage, right? Shout out to Riaz because he's understanding, he's trying to be obedient to Allah. He's trying to see what Allah has for him, right? And this is not about, you know, Christianity versus Islam. It's the fact that both groups of people are trying to draw nigh to God. That's the common ground. That's why I can embrace a Riaz or a Scorpio mama because they understand as they go through this stage, they are trying to find a better version of themselves amongst the muck and goo that the enemy or the demon in this case has left inside of you. You have to understand you got to continuously clean that thing, right? You can't just sweep it under the rug because if you continue to sweep that demon under the rug like he's not going to do anything, BDB, what up, Nine? If you continuously sweep it under the rug, that little bump becomes a molehill. And when you ain't paying attention, you are going to trip or revert back into what the demon has already left inside of you because you haven't taken care of that molehill to a certain extent. How you feeling, how you living, nah? Right? So we have to understand that there are things that are trying to control us. These demons are trying to keep us away from the greatest version of ourselves that we can be, period, right? But you have to understand that you are a storehouse and you have the strength or the gifts to withhold or even defeat it, that demon that's inside of you. So defeat that legion that's coming back to come back into your life because he's gonna come back stronger than how he left. Right? Y'all know in real life you see people get put out of homes and situations like that, and they resisted so much that you had to get the authorities to remove that, right? But the authorities in your spirit is the is the is the summoning of that whole spirit in you to remove or to counteract that demon that is inside you. The Holy Spirit can do that, but you must know that you have to draw nigh to God to receive it or know how to use it in your favor in order to do so, right? You have to understand how great God wants you to be. And in order for you to understand how great God wants you to be, you have to close your spiritual ears to what is already inside of you. That demon that's telling you, nah, he don't know what you're talking about. You're surely going to die, right? If Eve were to do that, then they would still be in the Garden of Eden. But because she didn't know how to use the gift that she was never told how to use her gift because the enemy caught her at her weakest stage. He isolated her to where uh uh he tells her, yo, you can eat that fruit, you're not gonna die. You're gonna be like God. Paraphrasing, of course, right? But that's why in today's standard, they tell you an idle mind is the devil playground. Because if you understand that your mind is not focused on what God has for you, then as long as you're not focused on that goal, the enemy has free reign. The demon has free reign. Like, nah, go ahead and continue to fall short. As a matter of fact, fall short in numerous ways. Right? That's when the legion come in. Right? All right. So now you worrying about if you could be go ahead and be in infidelity, right? Or you decide, you know what? Let me buy all of these bottles of liquor to where I'm now abusing the gift of drinking wine because drinking wine is not a problem. The abuse of it is. So once you understand that you have abused the gifts that God has given you, that means that the demon or the enemy is within you to tell you like you're doing a great job when you are fighting the fact that you're not, because you're not even in your right state of mind. God wants you to be in your right state of mind to go ahead and go forward and be the best version of yourself. Whether it's, like I said, a CEO, a dad, a mom, a parent, period. You have to understand, you have to be in your right frame of mind to be that best version of yourself. But as long as the demon is dwelling within you, or as long as the legion of negative thoughts and negative concepts are within you, it's always going to have a hold on you, right? You're not equally yoked to God, and until you get rid of that or remove it from you, then you will be equally yoked. And then you and God will become one. And then you will form your own trinity with God, right? Your mind, your body, and soul will be in tune with whatever God is speaking to you. That's why the Bible tells you those who have ears hear what the spirit is telling you. I'm paraphrasing that one as well. But as long as you understand that that demon is in the way, as long as you know that them legions are camping, they sitting there, they're chilling in your mind and body and soul, you have to understand that God wants you to remove that, right? He wants you to get rid of them. He wants you to take this time to fast so you don't feed it any longer. And we know in human form, if you don't feed something or you don't feed yourself, 9 times out of 10, you become weaker, right? That's why the Bible tells you, when I am weak, I am strong. It means that because you are not feeding the enemy or the demon that's within you, you know, it becomes weaker and weaker, and it allows you to overtake that demon that is inside of you, or that demon thought or that negative thought that is within you. So you have to understand why it is a necessity for you to go on these fasts, right? You have to understand. I don't understand how the churches don't encourage you to fast. They just overlook it. Okay, this is the season of Lent. We're gonna put the cross on your head. But instead of them telling you putting that cross on your head, you must carry your cross to get rid of all of those things that is holding you back from drawing nigh to God. It's holding you back from becoming the best version of you, that beacon of light to show that God does live within you, right? If you and you can tell when somebody is with God, the spirit of God is in them. It's because they don't have to say a thing; they could just live their life, and it shines from the inside out. It's like the lighthouse. When you in the sea, you are looking for that lighthouse. Why? To show that you are getting closer and closer to your landing spot. And that's how it is. Bronze, what's going on? Good morning. And that's how you should feel about having a fasting period, right? I know that in the world today, this is the fasting time, right? That's why I am saying this is the first quarter of your fast, because you got 30 more days for those that are Christian until you get to the Passover season, right? And even with the Passover, you have to understand, you have to mark yourself to where you are trying to get rid of those things before they come into you. You are getting rid of that demon before he even tries to enter you. Like you saw, in the Exodus, they put the blood over the door so that way it can't even enter you, right? So you have to understand that we're not in that stage to do that right now, because we are still in the stage of getting rid of what already is in our house. We are trying to get rid of that demon, that negative energy that is not that's already within us. We have to remove it. But how do you remove it, right? The solution is you put it you give it to God, and God is going to strengthen you to say, you know what, I'm going to strengthen you to where you don't need those negative entities. I'm going to strengthen you to stop drinking. I'm going to strengthen you to stop getting high. I'm going to strengthen you to eat healthier. You don't have to just live on cookies and things like that. We understand that you cannot live on bread alone, but in order to get through this fast, you got to live on every word of God, right? You have to understand that words give life. And if you use the right words, it'll give you the everlasting life to defeat that foe that's within you, right? And as long as you understand that, you will work on yourself to become that version to be who you need to be, right? And that's going to get you closer. It's going to get you closer to God and further away from the enemy that still wants to dwell inside you. And it's going to protect you. It's going to be your armor. It's going to be your breastplate. It's going to guard your heart. Your helmet. Your helmet is to guide your mind. You understand? You have to understand once you take this process that the attack is just the beginning. That it's only going to dwell. I mean, it's only going to intensify because you are now put out an unruly guest that was too comfortable within you in the first place, which is that enemy, that demon, that legion that was dwelling to tell you, hey, as long as you keep doing wrong, we're gonna chill. We're gonna chill inside of you. We're gonna live inside of you. We're gonna rule your thoughts. We're gonna rule your ideology. We're gonna rule what we want you to rule, which is things that are not of the kindness and goodness or the opposite of what we want you to have. So we all know the opposite of a demon is an angel. We understand that the opposite of bad is good. We understand that we must find our way towards that mark, the mark of the higher calling. But until we understand that that demon is dwelling within us, we don't know how to fight it. We don't know how to go about telling it to evict it, right? And in real life, you got to go. Most people got to go to court in order to evict that tenant that you feel is unruly in your property, on your property, excuse me. So once you understand how that goes, you have to apply that into your spiritual aspect. You have to apply that in your mental aspect. And when you do, you go about the process. And this is like the first stages of you doing that. You call on God. God, strengthen me to remove these negative thoughts. God, we ask you to remove these things that are keeping me away from you. We are asking you to help me draw nigh to you. Continue to hold your hand out and don't let my hand slip away. Because if we do it, we're always going to fall short. And that's an excuse that a lot of people use. Well, I'm going to do that because, I can, God understands my heart. But that doesn't mean that you should not be working towards that the separation of that demon in yourself. You must understand that until you decide to do that, you don't have a puncher's chance. But in this first period, it probably was hard for you to even take those first steps because you didn't know how to approach it. You didn't know how to face the thing that you are trying to give up. You really think that you can't live without the thing that you are giving up to become a better version of yourself. But God wants you to know that you can give it up. And God will replace it with something that you need instead of what your normalcy will desire because you made it you turned your want into a need. So, this is the things that we have to really focus on. These are the things that we have to do going on into the second stage, the second period, the second quarter of your fast, right? I know Riaz, like I said, Riaz is probably in the middle stages of that. And, I understand if I'm trying to reach everybody, I have to be more uh how do I say transparent of other people's situations, right? But in reality, I don't know how is the Muslims are how they approach Ramadan. I don't know because it's a shorter period than the season of Lent. But what I do know is that there, like I said earlier, there's a common ground between both religions. The common ground is that they both want to draw nigh to God. They want to become the best version of themselves in the sight of God. And in order for them to do that, they must be obedient to what God is telling them. And that is the first stages of their sacrifice. Because I already said, and I truly know this, that obedience is the sacrifice, right? It is the sacrifice to, all right, I hear you, God. I'm coming towards you. I'm walking your way. If I gotta go around the dead end, I'm gonna find my way to you. If I gotta go through this traffic period, I'm gonna go through the detour to find my way to you. That's how the the fasting season is. You have to go through in order to achieve your destination. And even though this is the first steps or the first period of it, there's going to be struggles because for a lot of people, this is something new. And if it's something new, you don't really know what you're getting yourself into, and it's okay. But as long as you keep going forward, as long as you keep your eye on the prize, you're going to overcome the demon or the lesion that is inside of you. And that's what I want everybody to pick up from on today because like I said, it's not an easy task, right? Whatever it is that you are sacrificing, you have to understand that the demon is not going to like it because it is something that favors it or them or him or her. It's in that favor. But once you start to sacrifice it and remove it out of the way, it's going to be a bumpy road for them. And that's what a battle is. That's why you test the grounds. In boxing they tell you for the most part, the first round you're trying to see what your opponent is going to do as far as its, you know, way towards you, and you're going to be careful on how you approach it because or him or her because you don't know as much as you study film on a situation, you don't know how it is in real time, right? Everybody could talk about how they got through their periods of fast or how they overcame the enemy, but until you put it on your everyday display, it's going to be foreign to you. So now you have a feel out session. That's what most first periods or first quarters are about. You feel your way through the situation. Well, dang, this enemy is stronger than what I thought. Or this me giving this up is tougher than what I thought. Me putting that bottle down is tougher than I thought. Me putting them cookies down is tougher than I thought because I've been so used to depending on it that I feel I feel the urge to go back to it, right? But if you stay the course, if you keep your eye on the prize, you understand that it's more of an uphill battle. You're in the valley of the fast, and you are going to continue to climb your way up to the top of the hill. But it's only the beginning. And for those of you that are actually going through this fast, I want you to be encouraged, right? Be encouraged because you took the first step, right? You took the first step of understanding that I need this thing to change in my life. I need this to be removed from my life. So once you understand that that demon is in your way, now you have to have the process of removing it. And step one is to understand that there is a problem that is within you. Now you have to figure out a way to get them up out of you, or get it up out of you, or get them up out of you. And it's not going to be easy. Anybody that tells you that a fast is easy, they're not fasting well. Why they're not fasting well? Because the urges kick in. The impulse to go back to normalcy kicks in. The the things that you normally do does not just go away like that. If that was the case, you wouldn't be in the situations that you're in. You wouldn't need the fast in the first place. So we just have to understand that the battle is just beginning, right? Whatever it is, whoever it is. The situation is just beginning. The newness is now has been birthed. Now we have to go through the stages, right? We have to go we have to go through the growing pains of removing the demon that is within us. We have to go through that growing pain that the lesion has left within us. We have to go through it in order to overcome it. And for most people, hopefully, to have the victory over the demons the demons and lesions that may dwell within us. Now I'm saying lesion because it's more than just one demon that may be inside of us. Like I said, I just want everybody that's coming in to understand why I'm saying lesion is, instead of demon. Demon is one. Demons can become a lesion, more than one, right? You can have 4 or 5 demons in you. That's a lesion. It's a group of demons that dwell within you. Just like if you had 5 angels that was in you, that is a legion of angels, right? Legion is just a terminology. It doesn't mean good or bad. It just means more than one. So if you have more than one bad entity that's inside of you, you have a legion inside of you. If you had more than one angel, you have a legion of angels. It's just a term, right? More than one. So I just want everybody to know that because you may have more in this case, because I'm talking about demons, the negative side, right? So the legion is those that them demons that dwell within you, right? The demon of anger, rage, malice, wrath, all of those things, right? You have to understand. You have to control them, or you have to get rid of them to get the opposite results, right? Peace, joy, happiness. In order for that to occur, you must draw nigh to God, because if we had the power to do it ourselves, those demons and legions would not be dwelling in us, because not everybody enjoys that. Now, if you enjoy that, that means you have to fight harder to overcome that. It's not impossible. It may seem improbable, but nothing is impossible when you understand the power that God has given you to overcome any and all circumstances in life. When you were born, God has given you everything you need to get through the situations that you are going through, whether it's a health scare, whether it's a mental anguish, whether it's a spiritual anguish. You have been given everything that you needed to overcome and defeat that thing that is holding you down, that has your ankle in a ball and chain, so to speak. Just like that man that was being tormented so much that he had the strength to break the bondage that he's in. So too, you can break the bondage that is keeping you amongst the demons and legions that is controlling, or has a very strong hold of your life. We just want you to know that it is possible, but it's an uphill battle, and we understand that. But once you draw nigh to God, or in this case, as long as you are fasting, everything is possible. All things are possible, because you have a foe that is strong enough to overcome that opponent, that demon that is within you. You just have to grow in your trust. You have to grow in your faith to say, you know what? I know I can overcome that. We are no longer, well, right now you're in the believing state, right? Because you have not activated the power of faith. Once you activate that power of faith and knowing it, your strength is going to rise. It's going to be evident, because things are going to be so much easier for you. You're no longer going to crave the things that you once craved. You're no longer going to desire the things that you desired once before, because the enemy, the demon, is losing his hold on you, because the faith in God is elevating in your life. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody coming through. Shout out to Realist. Shout out to BDB. Shout out to Young Riaz, as always. Shout out to Miss T. Shout out to, I almost said Sugar Mama. Shout out to Scorpio Obama, right? But nah, in all seriousness, right? You have to understand this is the first stage. These are the first steps in the situation that you are going through. And when you understand that, when you understand your opponent, it gives you a better chance to defeat them. But it's going to take you steps and stages, right? That's why I'm saying this is your first round, your first period, your first quarter, right? Because you know your opponent, you know who it is, you know how they got there and everything. But now you're in the process of strategizing how to defeat them. And with God, with the help of God, when his and his spirit that dwells within you, you will be able to defeat them in the upcoming rounds. But you have to be strong enough and willing to allow God to take the helm, take the lead, so that way, as he's giving you the ways to do so, you are taking the actions to supersede the demons or legions in your life. I just want to say before going off, you know, understand that this is not a negative conversation, as far as, me calling anybody devils or me calling anybody demons. I want to put that out there, because we know that the enemy's trying to say, look, see, that man is calling you a devil. He's calling you a demon. I'm not calling anybody that. I am saying that because we have negative thoughts and negative energies and negative aspects in our lives, that the demon within us is controlling us or keeping us away from the right way of living. It's keeping us from the right state of mind or the bright state of mind of becoming the best versions of ourselves. And I know that in a fast that there are stages that you want to have to go through in order to get to your victory. So for me, this is, like I said, this is the first quarter of a thing, right? You're not supposed to brag about fasting. You're not supposed to do all of that, right? Your actions are going to speak louder than your words, right? So when that bright light hits you because you are overcoming, you don't have to say, well, I fasted for 72 days or I fasted for 95 days, right? It's just like a person losing weight. You don't have to tell nobody you're losing weight. You can see it, right? But with your spiritual eye, with if you have a spiritual eye, this is this may be your first time acknowledging that you have a spiritual eye and you can actually see said demon or legion that is dwelling within you or around you. But until you take those steps, you don't know how to activate your spiritual eyes in the first place. So I just want everybody to understand nobody is being called the devil. Nobody is being called that by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that the negative concept we are calling it devilish, right? Demonic, right? A legion of demonic things that are dwelling within you. You have to understand who your opponent is, and you also must know how many there is, because if it's more than one, you're not just fighting a demon, you're fighting a legion. You have to understand your opponent. That's why this is round one or first quarter or first period in your fasting scenario, right? So that's for those of you that are going through the fast or is going through Ramadan or whatever have you. But if you're not going through that, it's never too late to become a better version of yourself. We're just doing this because we're being obedient to God. If you're gonna do it, it's never too late to say, you know what, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to improve my life. I hate the word change because you can always change for the worse. You never improve for it, right? But you have to understand if that's what you want to do, you have to take those steps. But the first step is to acknowledge that there's a demon inside of you, or there is a negative thought or negative thoughts, which we are calling legions, that is dwelling within you. Oh, that's what I'm calling it. So I just want everybody to take that mindset and look at it and decide if you are ready to be, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired of it, it's time for you to begin your fast, right? But those that who have already started their fast, may God continue to strengthen you and God get you to the point to where you are becoming or drawing nigh to him and he is becoming or he's drawing nigh to you. So with that being said, everybody, I appreciate everybody stopping by. Once again, shout out to everybody in the chat. Uh, until next time, I'll be back for the halftime, right? That'll be day 20 of your fast, or for those that are fasting already. Is I'm not excluding anybody who wants to. I'm just I'm not excluding anybody that is ready to have their fast today or anything like that. But I understand that there are people throughout the world that have already started their fast because the religious aspect telling y'all to carry your cross. So I'm, while I'm talking to them, I'm also talking to those who are willing to start today or whatever to start their improvement today, right? But understand if you are going to do that, I am willing to help you get through that. We will join forces in order for us to become the best version of ourselves. Because as you know, my 33 brother always says, a better you is a better us, and a better us makes a better world. So, with that being said, I appreciate everybody coming through. I'll see y'all in 10 days on this topic, but of course, you'll see me before then. Have a good weekend. Have a good day as well.